Hi guys, hope you're all feeling great and healthy. Today's yoga class is a donations-based class. If you'd like to make a contribution, there is a link in the description as always. Otherwise, enjoy the class. Liv will be with you any second now.
Good evening. Happy Monday, guys. Happy bank holiday Monday, if it feels much different to you today. So today's class, we're going to start in a nice comfortable cross-legged seat. And if you have blocks or blankets or cushions with you that help you sit comfortably, then take those underneath your sit bones just to allow yourself that little extra lift in your lower back. And you can feel yourself then pull your chest up and away from your hips. Let your hands rest comfortably, wherever that means for you, maybe into your lap or out onto your knees. Somewhere where you can let your arms feel heavy. Let your shoulders pull down away from the ears. Let your eyes close and just give yourself a few moments to settle here. Allow everything to slow down, to wind down. And just feel your body arrive, ready for your practice. As you find that stillness within the body, start to bring your attention towards the breath as we find that stillness within the mind. Start by simply watching the breath come in and out through the nose. And little by little, taking a deeper breath with each inhale. And slowing down the exhale as the air slowly leaves the body. Each time you take the next breath in, feel the space that you're creating within your chest. And feel softness as you breathe out, but maintaining that sense of space, maintaining that length within your spine. Keep focusing on the breath here as it comes in and as it goes out. And just taking a moment to remind yourself to stay connected to your breath in this way, to the best of your ability. Not aiming for perfection, but just aiming for the effort, the focus on the breath, and taking any breaks you need to so that you can refocus, recenter. And then with your next inhale, take a big circle of the arms wide. Reach your fingertips high, let the chin lift to the sky as well. On the exhale, the hands lower down towards your belly, your chin to your chest to lengthen out through the back of the neck. Same again, a nice deep breath in, a big wide circle, lift your rib cage upwards. Exhale to lower down, giving the hands a press together to start to wake up through your wrists. And then final time, a deep breath in, circle the arms wide, reaching tall, but then this time let your right hand come down onto the floor next to you. With this left arm in the sky, start to take a back stroke. So big circles with the hand, up and over, just allowing yourself to warm into this left shoulder, finding a big range of movement. And then changing the directions, take a forward rotation, front crawl if you're a swimmer. Big round circles. And then allow yourself as you come forwards to sweep across the mat as you come all the way over to the other side, and then your right arm starts taking your back strokes, big old circles. Think of turning your chest slightly up towards the sky. And then switching directions, go for your front crawl. And finding as much movement as you can there, the biggest circles you can manage. And then on the forwards rotation, sweep forwards and across and go all the way back to the other side. Back stroke to begin with, a couple of circles. Allow that circle to change direction, start going forwards. And then once you've done a couple again, on that forwards pulling down of the hands, sweep the body across to the other side. And last time, right arm is making some circles. You can turn your gaze a little upwards if you like. And then changing it to go forwards and letting those shoulders feel a little bit more awake. Draw yourself back upright, breathe in, send the hands to the sky, the palms face forwards. And then breathing out, the hands to rest onto the floor in front of you. Drop your chin towards your chest, so the back of the neck is staying nice and long, in line with the rest of your spine. And allow your sit bones to think of pushing towards the back of the mat as your fingertips stay crawling forwards. With each breath in, you're finding length or keeping length in the body. And each breath out, keep allowing the weight to sink forwards, belly towards your shins, chest falling towards the mat. 2 more, breathing in, breathing out. Finding that length in your lower back as you inhale and exhale. Good. Depending on how you are in this shape, you might find the strength to draw into the hands, roll over the knees and pull yourself up into tabletop. Otherwise, use your own method to come round onto hands and knees, shoulders to then come right above your wrists, hips right above your knees, and draw your belly up towards your spine lightly, so we're using our abdominals to flatten out the lower spine. Moving into cat and cow. As you breathe in, the ribs dip down, the chest lifts, the chin lifts, look forwards. As you breathe out, rounding the spine, tuck the tailbone and the chin pulls down towards the chest. Again, breathing in, pressing down through the front of the body, lifting up through the chest. Exhale to round, really press your spine up between your shoulder blades. Couple more here, breathing in. And breathing out. And then one more, take each one, breathing in and breathing all the way out. Great. Coming back to a straight spine, gaze is down between the hands. We're going to keep the right leg bent, send the toes towards the sky. So we're going to make the same movements, but adding in a leg. So it's a little bit like a 3-legged cat and cow. So as you inhale, reach your toes to the sky, lift the chest, look forward, squeeze your heel towards your bum. As you exhale, draw the knee in towards your chest. As you round your spine, maybe see if your nose can tap your knee. Inhale, the toes go back to the sky, the chest lifts, squeeze through your glutes and hamstrings. Exhale to round, thigh towards belly, knee towards nose, really hollow out the front of the body. Great, inhale, last one to the sky. And exhale to curl underneath, holding, squeeze through your abdominals. And then reach this right leg out towards the back of the mat, nice and straight this time. Point through the toes or flex through the foot to keep that leg nice and strong. From there, let your pelvis start to turn towards the right side. So you're stacking your right hip on top of your left. And then see if slowly, steadily, you can take your right arm to the sky, maybe even your gaze to follow, as you come into this star-shaped side plank. Now, if you want to tuck your toes under, that will give you a little extra balance. If you keep the toes untucked, that's going to make life harder for you. And the more that you're in one plane, so your shin going directly towards the back of the mat, again, that's going to make life harder. So kick your foot off to one side if you need to help you hold here. Glutes are working really hard. See if you can find a little extra lift through that leg. Holding it, breathe in. And then breathe out slowly. Hand comes back down, knee comes back down, and we're back into tabletop. Using your left toes this time, send them towards the sky to begin with, not too strong of a kick before we get going. Use your inhale, then kick to the sky, lift your chest, squeeze through your left glutes. Exhale, thigh towards belly, knee towards chest, maybe add the nose as well. Inhale, toes up, chest up, look forwards. Exhale to round, broad shoulder blades, strong straight arms. Inhale, send those toes back to the sky for the last time. Squeeze through the hamstring. And exhale to round nice and strong into your belly. Good. From here, inhale, kick the leg towards the back of the room. Straight and strong, squeeze the muscles onto the bone. Option to kick that right foot out a little bit to make the balance easier if you need. Or start to turn your pelvis to face the left side of the room. Slowly the left hand leaves the floor, reaches towards the sky, as your gaze may or may not want to follow towards the fingertips. Press down through the right hand, press down into that right knee, and keep lifting your leg. Bum is really burning as we hold these long, heavy limbs up and away from the floor. Keep your tailbone tucked under as your hips push lightly forwards. Last one here, breathe in. And then breathing out, slow and controlled. The hand comes back to the floor, so does the knee. Maybe your bum can feel that one, mine can. Step your knees a little bit wider towards the edges of your mat. Your big toes to touch and sink your heels nice and close, sink your hips nice and close to your heels. And then your hands can walk away. Your forehead can rest to the floor into child's pose, just giving those hips, those glutes a little stretch out, giving ourselves a moment to rest down. And focusing on deepening, slowing the breath down. Fill the chest as you breathe in. Sinking the body down as you breathe out. 2 more, breathe in. Breathing out. Last one, breathe in. And use the breath out. Lift yourself back towards tabletop. The knees to have to narrow a little so they come back underneath the hips. Now from here, a couple of options. We're going to move into a floating tabletop. So that will be the knees that are floating. You can either tuck your toes and float here. That would be option 1. If you want to make it harder, which is not always necessary because that's hard enough as it is, don't tuck the toes and press down into the tops of the feet and then get those knees floating. So your choice, press into the feet either way, get those knees off of the mat. Keep your shoulders right on top of your wrists. Your belly stays pulling up towards your spine. Try to focus on a little tuck of the tailbone, so you're lengthening the tailbone down towards your feet. Keep breathing. Keep steady and calm. Inhale. Exhale. Tell yourself you're strong. You've got this. 1 more. Breathe in. And then breathing out, let your knees rest back down. Whew. Tuck those toes under behind you, the knees to lift, the hips to lift. Press your thighs back as you come into your downward facing dog. If you'd like to give those legs a wiggle out, a little pedal to help the hamstrings become part of the party, then go ahead. Try not to neglect your upper body. Find that push into the hands. And take any movements that you like here. You can take a little wiggle of the hips left to right, little rolls of the shoulders down towards the mat. Anything that helps your body ease into this shape, starting to wake up the muscles and the joints. And once you've had a good little wiggle out, let yourself become still. Keep a little bend into the knees and press your thighs towards the back of the room. Opening your armpits wide as you transfer as much weight as you can towards your legs. Breathing in, nice and strong into the shoulders. Breathing out. And then 1 more, breathe in. Using the breath out, the hands to walk back to meet the feet at the back of the mat. Make sure our feet are hip distance apart. Let those heels touch down to the floor. Feet point forwards, knees stay bent so that the belly and the thighs rest onto each other. And then dangling the head, dangling the arms. Let the upper body feel very floppy and heavy in front of the legs. Sandwiching your belly and thighs together. So really engage your core to think of squishing the two towards one another. And maybe just a couple of shakes of the head or nods of the head, releasing tension in your neck, your shoulders, maybe a couple of stretches of the jaw, a few clicks and cracks there if you're like me. So keep those hips pressing high, feeling that lengthening, that stretching in the back of the thighs, pressing down into your toes as your body weight tips just ever so slightly forwards. Great, take a nice deep breath in and a slow breath out. And then from here, keeping that bend into your knees, let your fingertips swipe along the mat. Take a deep breath in, lift your chest, look forwards as you reach your arms to the sky and take your gaze between your hands into chair. The feet are still hip distance apart. The thighs aren't together in this variation, but the sit bones push back, so the weight is now into our heels, making these legs work. Breathing in And then as you breathe out, the ribs go back onto the belly. Sweep the arms along the mat. Then interlace your hands behind you into a fist. The head dangles in front of the legs as you squeeze your shoulder blades together to lift the fist away from the body back into a forward fold. We're going to move a little bit quicker this time. So inhale, release the hands, swipe them down, lift them high, chest and gaze lift up between the hands. Exhale, sandwich the belly and thighs back together. Interlace the hands behind you, squeeze the shoulder blades to lift the fist up and over, press your thighs back. Inhale, swiping back into the chair. Heels, weight is into the heels, chest is lift, belly is firm. Exhale, refold, dangle that head open across the front of your chest as you lift the fist and the pelvis pushes to the sky. One more of each here. Inhale into your chair, strong legs. And exhale to fold. Sweep those arms back down. Find that bind behind you and let your head hang nice and loose as you keep those shoulder blades drawing together. Holding here, breathe in. And then releasing your hands as you breathe out. Taking your hands to the floor, we're going to walk them all the way forwards to the top of the mat, coming into a high plank. So the shoulders come with us to come right on top of the ankles, right on top of the wrists. The heels are pressing out backwards and there's a light tuck of the tailbone. So you've got a nice engagement through your core, a long line from the crown of your head to the back of your heels as you think of lifting your thighs and your belly up and away from the mat. Holding, breathe in. And then breathing out. Your knees rest down, knees to be together this time. Bum onto your heels, arms alongside your body. And just allow yourself to curl up into a small little ball. Forehead to rest on or towards the mat. And your shoulders to flop down towards the floor. Think of taking a nice deep breath into the back of the body. And feel yourself compress into this little shape as you breathe out. Again, breathe in. And breathe out. Last one, breathing in. And then roll yourself all the way back up as you breathe out, taking those hands back onto the mat in front of you, the toes tuck under and the heels press back as we come back into a high plank. Strong through the core, tailbone stays tucked. Inhale. On the exhale, your right knee, you're going to pull in towards your right tricep or your right elbow. See if they can tap together and hold here. Don't worry if they don't touch, just hold your leg as close to your arm as you can. Keep drawing the two together, keep pressing into the hands. And then placing your foot at the top of the mat, just outside your right hand. That wasn't an easy move. If anyone is really feeling their core fire up here, that's the point. The back heel is pushing backwards, the chest is lengthening forwards, and just like in plank, we're trying to find a long line from the crown of the head to the back heel, but we're obviously opening into this front hip and hamstring as well. If you want to take a few little movements, perhaps rocking forwards and backwards, allowing yourself to ease into the hips just the way that we did with the shoulders, then you can take that little wiggle. Keep the knee drawing in towards the shoulder and that back heel pressing away from you. Last breath in, keep lengthening. And then left hand to stay onto the floor. Inhale, right arm to the sky. If you'd like to drop your back knee to the floor, then do so. Keep allowing your torso to rotate. Press down through that left hand to give yourself an extra push to twist. One more breath in. And then breathing out, draw the hand back to the floor, the foot steps all the way back into plank, drop the knees to the floor, drop your hips to your heels, arms slide back alongside you as you return into this little ball shape, a little nugget pose as I like to call it, rounded shoulders falling down towards the mat, heavy head. Take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. And then one more, breathe in and breathing out. Great. Drawing yourself all the way back up onto your shins. The hands come back in front of us. Tuck those toes, press the heel back. Find your high plank. Luckily, we only have 2 legs, 2 sides. So left knee this time. See if you can draw it to tap your elbow or your tricep. Just hold it as close to the arm as you can. If not, really strong here. Breathe in. A good job. Place that foot down. Aim it just wider than your left hand. If it doesn't quite make it there by itself, give it a encouragement to come to the top of the mat. Lizard lunge with your hands here. Keep your chest pulling forwards as your heel presses back. Really thinking of sinking your torso to the inner side of this left thigh. Keeping length in the spine as you breathe in. And a heaviness in the body to lower towards the mat as you breathe out. It's then the right hand that stays onto the mat. Inhale the left arm to the sky. Again, if you would prefer to drop the back knee for this one, then do go ahead. Allow your chest to keep turning, those shoulder blades to pin together down the back, and the gaze can follow towards those top fingertips. Take one more deep breath in. As you breathe out, let the hand come back down. This time the back foot is going to step in to the top of the mat. Heel toe your feet a little closer together so they can come all the way in together actually. Then hands to your shins. Use a breath in to halfway lift. Chest forwards, thighs pushing back. Squeeze your kneecaps up towards your hips so you're really switching on your quad muscles. With an exhale, refold so the knees bend, the belly rests towards the legs, and you dangle your head over your legs. Same again, inhale, hands to the shins, maybe a little bit higher if that helps you achieve a flat back. You want a nice long tabletop shaped spine. And using your exhale, hands come back to the floor, fold over, releasing the neck as you hang heavy. Using the inhale, nice strong straight spine, come all the way up to stand, reach your arms overhead, gaze up towards your fingertips. And as you exhale, release your hands to come alongside your body. As you find yourself towards the top of your mat, into mountain pose. The chest feels nice and broad as the shoulder blades pin lightly together. Thighs squeeze inwards, tailbone lengthens towards the floor so that our core, our center, stays nice and engaged. Moving from here with an inhale, the arms go back to the sky, gazing up. As you breathe out, forward fold, fingertips to the floor, hips press high to the sky. With the inhale, halfway lift, a long flat back, hands rest onto the legs. Exhale, hands to the floor, both feet step back into plank, heels are pressing backwards, chest is pulling forwards. Now from here, as you exhale, drop your knees to the floor so you're in a supported high plank. The weight tips a little forwards towards the fingertips. Elbows stay close to the rib cage as you lower all the way down to the floor. Belly and chest rest down together. With an inhale, float your chest, your thighs, maybe even float your hands as well. It's not using our arms to lift here. We're squeezing the muscles of the lower back. On the exhale, place the hands down, push yourself via your knees, tuck the toes under behind you, lift your hips back into the sky and return into downward facing dog. Keep pushing those sit bones to the sky, breathing in. Heavy chest presses back towards the legs, breathing out. 2 more, breathing in, breathing out. And then last one, inhale and exhale. Great, looking forwards towards your hands. On your inhale, you can either step, you can walk, or maybe you want to take a little jump by bending your knees and landing as softly as you can at the top of the mat. So really, really quiet. Use your core as you jump. Inhale, hands to the shins, lengthen the chest forwards, flat back. And as you exhale, refold, little bend in the knees, compress the torso to the legs. On the inhale, we come all the way back up to stand, arms overhead, ribs stay pulling in, so you're a nice straight line here. And then exhale, come all the way back to the floor. Fingertips touch down, bend the knees as much as you need to touch the mat. Use your inhale, halfway rise, long spine. Exhale, hands to the floor, feet step back into plank for 1 breath. Inhale. exhale, the knees drop down, supported plank. The weight shifts forward. Squeeze your elbows in. Keep your tailbone tucked as you slowly descend to the floor. With an inhale, the chest floats, the thighs float, the hands float as if you're doing a little skydive. And then exhale. Return to the floor. Return to earth. Toes tuck under, hips lift to the sky. Find that upside down V shape of your downward facing dog. We'll do 3 breaths here. Use this little moment of pausing to try and elongate, strengthen your breath. Last one, breathing in and breathing out. Use your inhale, look forwards just beyond your fingertips. You're going to bend those knees for a jump. You can step if you prefer. If you're jumping, keep your hips high in the sky when you land. So try to land in a forward fold rather than a deep squat. With the inhale, hands to the legs. Chest comes forward, shoulders stay away from the ears. And as you exhale, fold, bending the knees, compressing the belly to the thighs. Inhale, all the way up to stand, arms go overhead, tailbone stays reaching towards the mat. And then one more round as you exhale, fold forwards and down, press the hips to the sky. Inhale, lengthen the chest forwards. Exhale, hands to the floor, feet step back into plank. Stay nice and strong through your center, the tailbone is tucked. The knees drop down, and as we breathe out, we lean a little forwards. We slowly oppose the floor so that we come down with control. Inhale, skydive. Float your chest, your thighs, squeeze your shoulder blades together. And then exhale, return to earth. Roll yourself via your knees, tucking the toes, lift the hips to the sky and into down dog. Good, guys. It's a strong sequence to move through. It's relatively fast-paced, 1 breath, 1 movement. So if you're keeping up, good job. If you're needing a little rest, give yourself a little rest to get your breath and to recenter. 2 more here. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Breathe in and breathing out. And then the gaze comes forwards. If you're jumping forwards, think of transferring the weight from the heels of the hands towards your fingertips. Hop your hips high to the sky and land in that little forward fold shape. With the inhale, hands to the shins, lengthen forwards. And the exhale to fold. Compressing against the legs, hands come to the mat. Use your inhale to rise all the way up to stand, reaching those arms back to the sky. And as you exhale, release your hands back alongside your body, back into mountain pose, broad across your chest. Maybe just close your eyes for a couple of breaths. Feeling the length in your body grow out through the crown of your head, root down firmly through the soles of the feet. We're going to build from here. So on your inhale, the hands go back to the sky. And on the exhale, forward fold, fingertips to the mat, compressing belly to thighs. Inhale, halfway rise, chest is out long in front of the legs. On the exhale, the hands go to the floor, the feet step back into plank for 1 breath. Inhale. Exhale, dropping those knees, shifting the weight a little forwards. Keep that tailbone tucked so that your belly and chest are a solid one piece. Use your inhale. Skydive, more officially, baby cobra. And then exhale, hands to the floor, rolling back and into downward facing dog. So with your left leg this time, inhale to lift it to the sky, keeping it as straight as you can. Reach through the toes or through the heel. Keep the right heel pressing down. On the exhale, you're going to step that foot forwards and place it right in the middle of the hands at the top of the mat. So step as far as you can without help and then pick it up and put your foot right in the center. You're going to look towards your back heel and drop the heel down. So now the toes are pointing out towards the right side. With a breath in, we're going to roll the body up, the hips are right in the center of the mat, and my torso is right on top of my hips. And we're coming into warrior two. So let's get the legs right first. If there was a line down the center of the mat, or if I was on a tightrope, my front foot and the arch of my back foot would be on that same line. The front knee is bent on top of the front ankle, but the torso is upright. I'm not leaning into that front leg. Arms are then going wide, palms to face the floor and the gaze towards the front fingertips. Root down into the outer edge of that back foot and tuck the tailbone under. See if you can feel this in the front of that back right hip. So from here, as you breathe in, I want you to straighten out the front leg, reach the arms to the sky and flex the toes, pull the toes away from the mat. As you exhale, rebend, reach out through the fingertips and sink back to the warrior two. Same again. Inhale, arms come together, the palms can meet. Exhale, hands turn away from each other, bend into the knee, keep strong through the back leg as well. Good. Again, inhale, rising tall, pull the toes away from the mat. Exhale, sinking forwards and down, keep your front knee pushing wide. Last one, inhale to rise. And exhale to sink as you expand. Holding here, breathing in. And then your front palm, turn it towards the sky. As you exhale, reach that front arm towards the ceiling. Your back hand gently rests towards your back thigh as you find lots of length through this left side of the torso for your reverse warrior. Gazing towards your top fingertips, or if that feels a little funky in your neck, gaze towards your back toes instead. Try not to lose that lunge in your front leg. Keep bending, breathing in. And then as you breathe out, hands come to your waist, straighten out both legs, give that front leg a little bit of a rest. I'm going to move into triangle pose. Now you might want to just bring your back foot in a couple of centimeters to keep the feet a tiny bit more narrow. The arms are going to go back wide alongside the shoulders, keeping your body nice and squished inwards onto that tightrope. As you breathe in, try to tap the wall in front of you. Imagine you're surfing. The legs stay straight, the front fingertips reach forwards, the hips push a little bit backwards. And once you can go no further, your torso is not going to move anymore. There's no folding. The front hand is going to rest onto the front thigh, wherever that might be. And then the right arm goes to the sky. For your triangle pose, keep your tailbone tucked under and your gaze to the sky, and this front quad has to work hard. Lift your kneecap up towards your hip. I want you to try to prevent folding down to reach the floor as the chest and the belly turn downwards. Stay a little higher, let everything turn upwards. Strong through those legs, press down into those feet, inhale. And then exhale, pull the body all the way upright. Rest the back hand onto the back thigh. Inhale, left arm goes to the sky. So just like before, but this time the front leg is straight. And this is our reverse triangle. Nice and long between top fingertips and the front toes. Lengthen that left side of the body. One more here, breathe in. And then as we breathe out, we're going to rebend the front knee. Temporarily come back towards your warrior two with your broad arms, and then your front forearm is going to rest onto this front thigh. We're coming into side angle. The right arm is then going to circle up and over, reaching towards the front of your mat, so the right arm is alongside the right ear. Your left knee is pushing wide out towards the left side of your mat, and your tailbone is tucking under. Roll the right shoulder back, take your gaze underneath and really make those legs work for this one. Holding here, breathing in, breathing out. Keep pushing into those feet. Last breath, inhale. And then exhale, bring your hands to the mat. Let all toes turn to face forwards. So there's no funky twisting going on. And then see if you can pick up your foot, step it to the back of the mat as you come back into downward facing dog. Good job, guys. That's a strong little series of standing poses. Maybe your legs aren't quite feeling matched. One's feeling a little more tired. Just give yourself a few breaths here. Option to take it in child's pose if you need. And then use your inhale, look forwards to just beyond your fingertips. On the exhale, we're walking, we're stepping, or maybe we're jumping our feet to the top of the mat, hips staying high. Use the inhale to halfway rise, chest forwards. And the exhale to forward fold, fingertips to the floor. On the inhale, rise to stand, tailbone is tucked, arms reaching tall. And as you exhale, release your arms by your sides. So let's find all of those shapes on the other side now. So inhale, arms reach tall. Exhale, forward fold, fingertips to the mat, hips pushing towards the ceiling. Inhale, find length in your spine, in your chest, pull forwards. Exhale, hands to the mat. Both feet step back into plank as you take a deep breath in. Breathing out, drop the knees, tailbone is tucked, chest comes forwards and down, nice and slowly all the way to the mat. Inhale, thighs, chest and hands float, looking forwards. And exhale, press your way back into your down dog, hips into the sky, thighs press back, heels are heavy, but the knees stay a little bit bent. With the right leg this time, inhale, lifting it tall, three-legged dog to begin with. Exhale, step the foot to the top of the mat. Help it there if it needs. And remember, it's going right smack bang in the center of the mat. The back heel, then drop it down so the toes point outwards. Your heel, your front heel and the back arch are on the same line, and then windmill those hands up. Find your legs into position first. So torso right on top of the pelvis. Front knee bending roughly on top of the front ankle. Press down through the outer edge of your back foot and then set those arms wide. Palms face the floor. Front knee is pushing outwards as if your thighs are rolling away from each other. From here, as you breathe in, the arms reach tall. Flex the front toes as you straighten out the front leg. Breathing out to rebend, reach back out through the fingertips. Inhale, lengthen, lift, flex those toes, push down into the heel. Exhale to sink, warrior two. Great, again, inhale to find lift. And exhale to sink into those hips. Last one, breathing in. And breathing out, finding that depth into your hips, strong into your legs. From there, front palm faces the sky. Inhale, send that palm to the sky. Left hand rests gently onto your back thigh as you pull the fingertips up and over, either gaze up or maybe gaze down if that feels nicer. Keep bending into that front knee, try not to lose your lunge. Inhale. And then exhale. Come all the way up to stand. Straighten out both your legs. And as we move towards our triangle, you're all behind me there, wiggle your back foot in just a couple of centimetres. For most people, that will make triangle pose that little bit more comfortable. The legs are very strong. The kneecap is lifting up towards the hip, keeping this quad engaged. Arms go back wide, palms face the floor. We start triangle pose with a little bit of surfing. So your hips push towards the back of your mat. Your front fingertips reach as far as you can. Try and reach for something that's your favourite thing in the world. And then don't allow your torso to move any further. Just the arms move. The right hand rests wherever it finds. And then the left arm to the sky. Pull your right sit bone slightly under. Roll your chest open towards the sky. And your gaze goes with those top fingertips. Keep focus on your front right thigh. See if you can keep that kneecap lifting up towards the hips and feel yourself squished into this tightrope sort of alignment into the center of your mat. Holding here, breathing in. And then breathing out, rise your way up. Keep both legs straight. Back hand onto the back leg. Inhale, right arm goes up and over. And make your longest line possible between those top fingertips and those front tippy toes. Send the breath into this right side of the ribs. Breathe in. And then as we breathe out, we're going to come back momentarily towards warrior two. So the front knee bends on top of the front ankle. The arms reach wide. Torso is on top of the pelvis. And then front forearm lightly rests onto the front knee. Circling that left arm up and over alongside the ear. So this time the long line, again between your fingertips and tippy toes, is on a diagonal. It's your side angle. Roll the shoulder back, take the gaze upwards and keep your right sit bone pulling underneath. Keep finding length, breathe in. Keep sinking into the lunge, last bit of strength for your legs here. Breathe in. And then breathe out. Hands to the floor. Well done, guys. Turn all toes to face forwards. Let's come back into child's pose. So step the foot back. Knees a little wider than your hips. Hips to your heels. Forehead to the floor. And arms to extend out towards the front of the mat. Couple of breaths. Allowing yourself this little moment of rest. Maybe you can feel the heat in the legs. You can feel a little buzzing in the legs. Just allow things to feel soft. Good. Use an inhale. Push your way back up, all the way up onto your knees, and let your knees just step in slightly towards each other. So whilst we're here near the mat, we're going to have a little go at crow pose. If you don't want to practice crow pose and arm balances aren't something for you, let yourself rest in child's pose just for a couple of breaths here as we give it a try. So we're going to tuck the toes under behind us, coming up onto the balls of the feet, so we're into a little squatty pose. My favourite little word, squatty pose. The hands come onto the floor just like our plank. We've done lots of strengthening today, so our core is really ready for this. The chunky part of the knee on the inside of the kneecap is going to come onto the back of the tricep, and it's not going to sink there. They're going to press together, and we're going to think of lifting up. The knees push in towards those triceps, and from there we lift the hips towards the sky. I'm looking way forwards in front of my fingertips towards the top of the mat. Hips are staying lifted, knees are squeezing in, and I'm sending my weight towards my fingertips as I keep looking forwards, and maybe the toes can leave the floor as I balance my knees on the back of my triceps. Give yourself a couple of goes. It doesn't usually happen first time. If you're used to practicing your crow pose, see if you can hold it for a couple of extra breaths. See if you can keep your knees nice and high up your arms. And if you're still working on trying to find your first balance here, think of holding onto the floor, grip the floor, and maybe just try one foot at a time. So you're building the strength in the upper body, you're building the strength in the core, and one day that second foot may feel a little bit more encouraged to leave the floor. Once you've had a couple of goes and maybe made it up, maybe not, let your knees come back to the floor. Everyone's coming back into child's pose. So sit your hips towards your heels. Let those hands slide away. Your forehead to come to rest back down on the mat. And give yourself some slower breaths here. Generally, when we try things that are a little bit scary and a little bit new to us, the breath is the first thing we lose. So reconnect, maybe just close your eyes for a moment. Take a nice deep breath in. Slowly breathing out. And then one more, breathe in. And breathe it out. Great. Push your way up towards tabletop. Then the toes tuck under behind you, feet to hip distance apart. We're making our way back up into downward facing dog. Each inhale pushes the sit bones a little higher. And each exhale finds heaviness in those heels, reaching towards the mat, but keeping that soft bend in the knees to prioritize the length in our lower spines. Breathe in, last one. And then as we breathe out, look forwards towards the top of the mat, but this time we're going to transition to seated. So our left foot, we're going to step forwards towards the right side of the mat. The right foot steps in behind it towards the left side, so the legs are then crossed, and then we can gently and elegantly sit our bums down just behind our feet, and we find ourselves into cross legs. Reach your toes out in front of you and let them rest onto the mat for a moment with knees bent, hands to come to hold the back of the thighs, and sit yourself nice and tall. I'm sure there's many of you that know what comes after this. I'm sure you're looking forward to it. Shoulder blades pull together, chest stays broad, nice long spine. Tiptoe the toes towards you, seeing if your feet can leave the mat. Aiming your shins to be about parallel with the floor as the lower back stays nice and long. Lift up and out of your pelvis. Either stay holding the legs or maybe releasing them as your arms reach towards your toes. You gaze towards your toes as well. And maybe see if you can even smile as you do it. It's nobody's favourite pose generally. but enjoy it for what it is. Let it challenge you. Draw those thighs and belly together, knees towards your collarbones, holding steady. Breathing in. Breathing out. Good, guys, we can do it again. Breathe in. And then slowly let your feet gently come back to the floor. The feet to stay together. Turn the soles of the feet to face each other and draw your feet a little closer in towards your sit bones. The nice thing about not being in a yoga studio is you might want to stick your back up against a sofa or a wall so you can keep a nice long spine here. And as you hold on to your feet, either interlaced hands or holding your toes, press those thighs wider. If you've got somewhere to lean against, the bit of back support, that's going to help you maintain your posture. You then may want to use your hands to push your knees a little wider. It can just feel a little sort of easier to find the stretch that way because you're not having to use your core to hold your shape. So that option is there for you depending on where you're practicing. Each breath in, you're pulling your chest upwards, trying to make yourself taller. Breathing out, let those hips feel heavy. If you're using your hands, you can give a little extra weight to press the legs away from you. Take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. Good. Releasing your feet and letting them come onto the mat in front of you. Feet hip distance apart, pointing forwards. Make sure you've got some space behind you. Arms are going to reach forwards to counterbalance us. Tailbone tucks under and we're slowly rolling the body down. All the way to the mat. Shoulders and head touch down. And then once you've made your way down, hug your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze. Compress belly and thighs together. Squish your lower back down against the floor. Maybe a little bit of movement as you rock gently left to right on your back. And then allow your feet to come back to the floor, placing them relatively close down near your bum. So you can reach your heels just about with your fingertips when you reach down. Make sure your feet are hip distance apart and they stay pointing forward. We've got train track feet. And as you breathe in, lift your hips away from the floor. The tailbone tucks under, so the glutes and the hamstrings are nice and strong. Keep lifting, and then with the space that you've created underneath your torso, see if you can just shuffle your shoulder blades a bit more together, and then the hands can interlace beneath the body. The chest is nice and broad. We're puffing it up towards the sky. And as we push into the feet and lift the hips, we're thinking of bringing the chest towards the chin as well for our bridge pose. Now everyone's legs always want to flop outwards here. Pull your thighs inwards. The legs want to be hip distance apart, but generally if you try to squeeze them together, that's going to keep them hip distance apart. Push down into the ball of the foot. Keep lifting, breathe in. And then release your hands first as you slowly breathe out and let your hips come back to the floor. Maybe your quads are feeling that a little bit. Give them a rub if they like. Your feet can then widen out towards the edges of the mat and gently let your knees sway from left to right. A little bit of looseness back into the hips. Done lots of hip opening poses today, so they should feel relatively happy or relatively challenged, perhaps I should say. And then bring your knees back towards center, coming for our dead pigeon, as it's so lovely called. Left ankle is going to cross over right thigh. Keep the foot flexed. Left knee stays pushing away from you. Option to stay here, pushing it with your left hand, or draw the right thigh in towards the body. Interlace the hands around the back of the thigh or the front of the shin, doesn't matter which. Pull that leg in towards you as you press your lower back down towards the floor. That's really important. If you keep pulling and allowing your lower back to pull away from the floor, there's really not much more that you're gaining from the pose there. You need to press the lower back down as you pull that leg in. The ankle and the thigh gently press in towards each other, keeping that hip doing a little bit of work for this stretch. And the shoulders and the head stay down against the floor. A nice deep breath in. slowly breathing out. Again, breathing in and breathing out. Take one more nice deep breath in. And then unravel your legs, coming to the other side. Right ankle over left thigh. Let the right knee stay away from you. Option 1 to stay here. Or curl that left leg in, finding the interlace that suits you best. Giving the leg a nice tight pull in towards you as you keep that lower back encouraging down towards the mat. Focus a nice steady breath all the way down towards the belly and slowly allowing it to escape you. Again, breathing in and breathing out. Take one last one here. Inhale. And then exhale to release, letting that go. Just let your knees curl back in towards you to make yourself a small little ball. Finding a little bit of momentum, if you like, to roll forwards and backwards to bring yourself back to seated, or just allow yourself to turn around and bring yourself back upright. We're going to take the legs out wide into a straddle shape, so a big V shape with the legs. This is another good one to sit your hips up a little higher, either onto a block or a cushion or a blanket, to enable you to keep this flat lower back. Or again, you might want to sit your back against the wall or the sofa so that you can sit here without needing to use the strength to kind of prevent this rounded shape. It looks different for everyone, but obviously we're looking for a stretch into our hamstrings, into our inner thighs. I'm sure you can probably feel it straight away. If not, if you've got a little bit more space to work with here, and by space I mean within the body, not within your house, fingertips can stay behind you, and as you inhale, sit yourself that little bit taller. Find that extra bit of length within your spine. Your exhale, you can use those fingertips to pitch your weight forwards. Perhaps if you can maintain this length in your lower spine, your hands can come to rest onto the floor in front of you. The heels want to stay pushing away from us, reach them out in sort of opposite directions. The toes stay pulling back towards the body as we gently press the back of the thighs down towards the floor. Obviously, if you've elevated your sit bones, the back of the thighs won't and don't need to touch the floor, but we can still send the energetic sort of push down, strengthen through your quads, lift those kneecaps and find that opening there. Using the breath in to find length, find space, and the breath out to keep feeling heaviness if we're folding forwards, or just to keep that engagement in all of the places that we found it in the legs. The heels push away, the toes flex back. A couple more here, guys. Breathe in, breathe out. And then last one, breathing in. As you breathe out, let yourself release whatever shape you're in. Just find a little bit more softness here. The left leg we're going to bend in. The sole of the foot to reach towards or rest towards the inner right thigh. The right hand is then going to reach and hold onto the left knee. So we've twisted towards the left side. Keeping hold of that knee to help the body stay twisted. Use an inhale for the left arm to reach to the sky. This might be enough to stay here. Otherwise, as you exhale, let your body lean ever so slightly out towards your right leg, and you'll feel a big old lengthening in this left side of the body. Root the left sit bone down nice and heavy. Roll the left shoulder back, sending the gaze under the armpit. The right leg is still doing just as it was before. Encourage the thigh downwards, press away through the heel. This is one of those stretches that feels like you're stretching a muscle that you didn't even know you had. It's a big one, guys. Take a deep breath in. And then as you breathe out, release. Sit yourself tall and then switch the legs. So the left leg kicks back out, off one side. Sole of the right foot to the inner thigh, sit yourself nice and tall. Left hand holds the knee, so the torso has started to twist. And then with a breath in, the right arm goes to the sky. You can stay here or exhale a little lean towards the left. It doesn't take much movement to find that intensity here. So just small little movements, and then breathe into the tight spaces. See if you can encourage them to become a little softer. Great, take one more deep breath. And then exhale, releasing, letting your feet come back onto the mat in front of you. In the same way we did a moment ago. The knees are bent, the arms are reaching forwards. We're slowly unraveling the body all the way down onto the mat. Once we're down, the knees come into the chest for a small little ball hug. And then ending this very hip opening class with probably one of my favourite hip openers is Happy Baby, and you can feel it a lot into your hamstrings as well. So the knees are going very, very wide. Widen them as wide as you can. You can stay in this variation, holding your shins and pulling your knees in towards your body in this more V shape. Or you can take the soles of the feet to face the sky. Reaching up, you might need to lift your shoulders to find the reach to hold either your heels, your toes, or maybe your ankles, and then pin your shoulders back to the floor. Make sure your head is resting down. Use a little bit of strength in the arms to pull downwards, deeply bend the knees, aiming them towards, if not beyond, the armpits. Same as our other hip opener a moment ago, keep your lower back pressed against the floor. By allowing your pelvis to roll up and away, you're simply taking the stretch out of the hips, and there's really not much benefit from that. The toes are staying wide as if they're aiming out towards the top of the mat. And you can use as little or as much strength as you like in the arms to keep encouraging the bend of the knees. Maybe you feel ready to close your eyes here. Allowing yourself to stay in the pose, just allowing everything to start to move a little slower, feel a little calmer. And then finally releasing, letting your feet find their way back to the mat, one at a time, releasing those legs out onto the floor. Your arms can then rest alongside the body, palms facing upwards, eyes to close, and just spending a couple of moments watching the breath flow in and out. You can let go a little of the breath, allowing it to return to a more natural pace, depth and rhythm. Each and every exhale allows your body to feel a little looser, a little heavier. And then a nice deep breath in. Feeling yourself reawaken. Some movements in your fingers and toes. Maybe a nice big stretch up above the head. Drawing your knees in towards your chest. Giving yourself one final little hug. And then gently finding your way back to a comfortable seated shape. Allowing yourself to sit nice and tall, float the chest right on top of the hips. With your final breath in, the arms circle wide, reaching them to the sky. And your final breath out to lower those hands towards the belly as the chin comes down to the chest. Namaste, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me this evening. A big challenging class for sort of legs, strength in the legs. So if you can sort of feel like you've done a little bit of a workout, it's they're basic poses in the sense that they are in so many different yoga classes, but basic doesn't mean easy. So good job for getting through it. If you have any questions or any comments, or let me know anything you like, there's a little comment section down the side of the video. Otherwise, hopefully see you for this class next week, or I have a couple of others which I'm sure most of you know about already. I won't keep blabbing on. Have a lovely evening, a lovely week, and I'll see you soon.